where we drop, we float the foot, and we hold that landing. We can even play around with how much energy we're putting into the different parts of the body as well, hips or knees. We're back. I don't know why I'm screaming. We're back. And today's question is from _akshat.bs_. How do I land properly? I almost feel like I tweak my knee on landing. We don't want that. We don't want to be tweaking our knee on landing. So what we want to go over today is essentially how can we build up the body's capacity to accept the forces of landing, and subsequently, what from a technical perspective should we be focusing on when it comes to landing? Let's get this out of the way first and foremost. It's going to be very, very situation dependent, very, very sport dependent, and then from an individual standpoint, there's a lot of things going on that we have to be able to be aware of to know that not everybody's built exactly the same. So that being said, when we land, what's happening to the body, right? So if I step off this bench and land, let's notice a few things of what's happening. Okay, I will pause it on the screen so you can see it. But essentially what happens is we get two major sets of joints here going through flexion to be able to absorb the forces of landing, right? We have hips that translate back into flexion. We have knees that flex forward to be able to disperse that energy. And you're saying the knees almost feel like they're tweaking when they're landing. So what that tells me is we're overloading the knee joint, set as that stability joint. It's going to do work. We don't need to give it extra work, and we're underutilizing the hips in a lot of ways. So when we cue landing, what we're really looking to do is release the knees and the hips simultaneously into a very common shape that I'm sure you're all familiar with seeing, into a squat pattern. Now, before I get a whole load of comments in the comment section below that, it's impossible to control your landing in a game setting. Well, it's not impossible, and the more we practice and rep that out, the more we can rest assured that the neurological side of our body will prioritize these shapes from a health standpoint because, well, we're used to being in those shapes. So what we can do from here is we can utilize some drop holds, which we're going to come up onto our toes, arms overhead, and then we drop into this position. You'll notice that I'm floating the heels. Okay, we're not getting a fixed flat foot because in a sport setting we don't really have the option of landing flat-footed, and we really don't want to either. But we drop, we float the foot, and we hold that landing. We can even play around with how much energy we're putting into the different parts of the body as well, hips or knees. If you're looking to build the tolerance up of the knee, you can also go and regress right back to strength-based movements as well, where we're really just focusing on getting some blood flow saturating the tendons and the structures around the knee. So something as simple as incorporating more isometric split squat work into your warm-up. We love to do this with our jumpers, where we spend 30 seconds or so per leg prior to your workout in this position, in a nice split squat position, and then really playing around with the pressure, right? If we shift forward onto the ball of our foot, we're really going to place a lot of emphasis on that quadricep and right into that VMO specifically, and we're going to force a ton of blood through the tendons of the knee. And those tendon structures are low vascular structures, meaning that they don't get as much blood flow without help and time under tension. So this will do a lot to help build capacity as well as kind of desensitize the area if you're dealing with some pain already. So these positions before we land and before we jump can help build, from a strength perspective, some resiliency in those areas. Now, it's not just isometrics and split squats. There's a lot to consider. However, it's a very good place to start. I would progress from some isometrics into doing some nice controlled landings off of a raised surface. Bench is about, 18 inches or so? 8, something like that. I would start 12 inches, 10 inches, somewhere in that range, and just work on absorbing the landing. You could even absorb the landing and then eccentrically load the knees all the way to the floor. And just walk yourself down. And we get some nice lengthening that happens through the tissues of the quads and obviously in through the tendons of the knees. So when it comes to landing, we just need to spend more time working on it. Also, to be considered is not just working landing bilaterally. There's a lot of situations when you land and absorb a mass majority of the landing forces onto one leg. So what we could do is almost a gallop style landing. When we hit the landing, we're gonna start with one and then to the other, and just walk through those landings to build up the capacity unilaterally as well. Something to start with. Great question though. If you're enjoying these videos, please leave a comment below, hit the like button, subscribe, all the trappings of YouTube. It's been my pleasure as always, and we'll catch you in the next One COVID High Five.